session. Do us a favor, as you log into the room, type in where you're watching us from. We're live streaming on YouTube and in various places on the internet. So we would love to hear where everyone's logging in from, and we have a little timer just to give you a chance to get everybody online. Alrighty, now some people are logging on may or may not speak fluent English. So to help you with that, given the fact that Neumi is in 73, nearly 74 countries, have a listen to this because you can listen along or read along in closed captions on YouTube and on Zoom.
Por favor, vaya a la parte inferior de la pantalla en Zoom o YouTube y haga clic en subtítulos para leer en español.
Kérlek, menj a képernyő aljára, a Zoomon vagy a YouTube-on, a Closed Caption részre, és ott el tudod olvasni magyarul a feliratot.
Silakan klik di layar bawah pada Zoom atau YouTube dan klik caption untuk membaca dalam bahasa Indonesia.
Pour les sous-titres en français, veuillez cliquer au bas de votre écran Zoom ou YouTube sur CC ou Closed Captions.
Zoom または YouTube の画面の下部に移動し、字幕をクリックして日本語で読んでください。
請到屏幕底部點閱隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
Παρακαλώ πηγαίνετε στο κάτω μέρος της οθόνης, στο Zoom ή στο YouTube και κάντε κλικ στους υπότιτλους για να τα διαβάσετε στα ελληνικά.
請到屏幕底部點擊隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
אנא עברו לתחתית המסך בזום וביוטיוב ולחצו על תרגום לכתוביות בעברית.
Proszę zejść na dół ekranu na Zoomie lub YouTubie i kliknąć napisy, żeby przeczytać po polsku.
Alrighty, fantastic. So it's a truly international flavor today. And so please join me in welcoming your MC all the way from New Zealand, Prue Hours.
Hi, welcome online, everyone. It's great to see people from all around the world logging in. We've got Perth, Nigeria, Las Vegas, Colombia, British Columbia, Canada, Australia, Louisiana, Toronto, all over. It's fantastic. Welcome, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce to you such a wonderful man, Steve Scott. I met Steve over 15 years ago, and he's just the most amazing man and the founder of this amazing company, Neumi. So let me introduce you so he can tell you all about this amazing company and the products that we have. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you. And I appreciate that, Prue. We just, we have so many family members around the world. And one of the neat things about being in Neumi, almost anywhere you're going to go, there's probably not a Neumi family member very far from you. And it's amazing the growth that we've had and more to come. Aaron leaves for Japan, I think December 8th, and he'll be in Japan. One of our guys is going to Indonesia. I'm not sure. I think it's Serge is going to Indonesia, Serge or Chris, and but Aaron will be meeting with leaders that are already lined up to start their Neumi business, and some are pretty experienced leaders, but all very excited. So we're excited about Japan. If you know anybody in Japan, it's a good chance to get them excited. And let's see what else is happening had a great talk with a man the other day who has been in the glutathione space for years and has built big organizations with other companies that offer glutathione. And it's hard. I'm sure you guys will encounter it when somebody says that I have liposomal glutathione, or I have a patch that increases the body's production of glutathione, or I do IV glutathione. And don't let that in the least way curb your enthusiasm, because number one, you beat the crud out of everybody on price. Our price is the lowest in the industry because we manufacture our own product in-house. That allows us to keep the cost down, which means we can offer it at a lower price and a higher commission than most other companies can offer anything that's even close. Number two, our product works in a very different way that makes it much faster to the cell and more effective. You know, there's two things that don't pay attention to: blood levels. You know, it increases blood levels of glutathione by 20%, by 300%. That doesn't mean anything. If you are floating down a river and in a raft, and there's a waterfall ahead, and there is a screen and that has holes in it about that big, that raft's not going to go through. And you say, well, I really want to get through because there's gold on the other side, and I'd love to get some of that gold. But you're not going to get that raft through. To get through, you got to really be a lot smaller than the holes in the screen. And that's where other companies fail, by and large, and where we succeed. We have a process of encapsulating, not with fats or lipids, which really increases the size of the molecule, but rather we wrap molecules in matrices of ultra-pure water that is specially prepared water that we prepare with our own process. And the result is that we can get smaller than anybody that I know about. I know I went to the University of Utah in the very beginning in 2017 and said, okay, I've got a method to produce that gets me below a certain size, and can you guys match that? And they said, we don't know if we can or not, because we only do liposomal glutathione, or not glutathione, liposomal encapsulation. And I said, well, just try and see how you do. Well, they didn't even get close. They weren't even close. To work the magic, you have to be way under 50 nanometers, and they couldn't get under 50 nanometers. Now, a nanometer is very small. The width of a sheet of typing paper is kind of ragged. See that thinness there? That's 100,000 nanometers thick. A strand of hair is 80,000 nanometers thick. And to really be effective, you want to be down around that 10 nanometer size. So if you could slice your hair, not cut it, but slice it into 8,000 slices, each slice would be about 10 nanometers. And that's very, very, very tiny. And that's where we operate at. And according to the scientists at the University of Utah that I dealt with, we're in the blood and out of the blood faster than anything they've ever seen. We get into the bloodstream by swishing like this, like a mouthwash. And as you swish, millions of particles, even billions of particles, are going right into your bloodstream. And from the time it gets into the bloodstream until the time it actually exits the bloodstream and gets into the cell is about 70 or 80 seconds, according to this scientist. Now, why is that important? Because you get a very fast biochemical activity. We tell athletes, swish 5 minutes before a workout or 5 minutes before an event. Why? Because as you start swishing, millions of particles are going, and when they get in the bloodstream, they're out of the bloodstream and in the cells in about 70 seconds. And the half-life of glutathione, once it's in your cell, averages in the human about 90 minutes. And so if they have an event or a workout that's under 90 minutes, you want to get the full 90 minutes. We had one weightlifter that was given the product, and they called back the next day and said, doesn't make any difference. And the person that gave him the product said, well, when did you swish? And the athlete said, when I woke up around 7 a.m. When did you work out and lift weights? He said around 5 p.m. Well, no wonder. It's long gone. It's long gone by noon if you're swishing at 5 a.m. And so the next day he did it. He swished five or 10 minutes before the workout, and he lifted 10% more weight on each lift than he had ever lifted in his life. He couldn't believe it. That's the kind of results we see. And so it's very quick into the cell. There's two things, there are terms that people don't understand. Blood levels, that's important in some things, not important in other things. Bioavailability, what does that mean? That means that little raft we're talking about, if it floats over a cell, in essence, it's bioavailability if somehow it can get in the cell, but it doesn't mean it's going to get in the cell. Once we get into the cell, we're interested in something else. What's that? Utilization. Is it in a form that the cell can easily utilize? And we see all of that in our particular product. We see things nobody has ever seen. We see it in just about every area of health, recovery, endurance, physical endurance, mental endurance, stamina, physical stamina. We see all those things change. Now, we are not a medication. We do not cure, prevent, treat, or diagnose any disease. However, we do make a huge difference in a lot of areas. Our U.S. government has a division called the Federal FDA, Federal Drug Administration, or Food and Drug rather, and they govern what you can say and what you can't say. So any supplement, which is what we are, cannot make any medical claims. Now we have something happening that's very exciting. A study has been done with another mammal, horses, and we didn't sponsor the study. It's independent, and it should publish very, very soon. When it publishes, we can't give it out. We can't promote it. It's for veterinarians only. But I will do summary sheets that will tell you the highlights. And those highlights utilize the same biochemical activity that a human uses. And they look at the same blood markers. They look at the same, pulse rates. They look at neurological things. And we can tell what it's been proven to do in horses because this is a publishable study. And we can tell, we can't give out the study, 9,014 pages. Who wants to read that much anyway? But we can quote some facts and highlights from it. What does that do? It validates the science. We already know what our product does in people's lives. We've seen it in, like Michael said, in 70 some countries. I think we're up to 76, Michael, I think, but I'm not sure. I heard that number the other day, but that probably includes Japan and Thailand, which are brand new. But what we do, we've all seen. We've seen it. I'm 76 years old, and I don't have the skin of a 76-year-old. It should be highly wrinkled. It should be very loose. It should look like I'm 76 instead of healthy. Now, I will tell you, I've been on my doctor asked me to reduce my meat intake and just limit myself to fish and poultry. And so I may be a little anemic. That may be why my skin's a little white, although the lighting does make a difference, I see. Anyway, but nobody has ever guessed my age correctly. Ryan and I were in New Zealand, and a man from China was in the elevator with his son. And I said, why don't you young guys, people come on? And the dad says, I'm not young, I'm older than you. And I said, no, you're not. He says, oh, yes, I am. I said, no, you're not. I said, I don't want to take your money, but if we bet on it, I said, I'm 70. Then I was 75. I said, I'm 75. He goes, oh, you are older than me. And, but that's the nice thing. Why does glutathione affect the way you look? Why does it do that? And the answer is that when it actually gets into skin cells, it impacts accelerated aging. As you age, every cell in your body ages more rapidly. And they call that accelerated aging. Your heart, your brain, your skin, your kidneys, everything ages at a faster rate. What happens, what causes that is a thing called oxidative stress. Well, what would happen if we can lower oxidative stress? It logically is deduced that we're going to slow down accelerated aging. And I think that's what we do. We have lots of before and after pictures that we're going to show you that demonstrate that. But it's also demonstrated in your vitality. And we have lots and lots of people who feel much younger than they used to feel before they went on the product. People in their 50s feel like they're in their 30s. Oftentimes, people in their 60s feel like they're back in their 30s or 40s. I actually mentally feel like I'm in my 30s still, and but I can't physically perform because I never work out, unfortunately. I keep promising my kids I will, but I haven't yet. So anyway, glutathione is the most important molecule in life. It's right there with oxygen. Take oxygen out of our environment and everything dies very quickly in minutes. Take glutathione out of our bodies and everybody dies within minutes. Take it out of the trees, the plants, the birds, the fish, every animal you can think of, every plant you can think of, remove glutathione and everything dies within minutes. It's that vital. It's the most studied molecule in medicinal science. Right now, there's over 188,000 published studies on glutathione in PubMed, the US government library of medical literature. If you took all the other major antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D, superoxide dismutase, catalase, CoQ10, if you looked at all the studies on those and added them all together, they would not equal the 188,000 studies on glutathione. And yet, most doctors in the world, even the United States, the majority have never heard of glutathione. Why? Because they're not scientists. I have a son that's about to get out of 13 years of medical training. He's his last 3 years are a fellowship in cardiothoracic, so he's a heart surgeon, and that he exits that and goes into the workplace in a few months. And when he was in medical school, I looked up in his molecular biology book, glutathione, one paragraph on the most important molecule in life. How sad. That's like me, you saying, what does the Grand Canyon look like? And I hand you a thumbnail Polaroid of the Grand Canyon. And you go, oh, it's not near as big as I thought it was. Hey, it's miles across. It's a mile deep. It's the biggest hole on Earth that's not in the water. And it's pretty huge. How about if I gave you a little thumbnail Polaroid of Mount Everest? Okay. It's ridiculous. You need something very big to even begin to understand the size of either one of those. Glutathione is the Mount Everest of health and longevity and performance molecules. It's the Mount Everest. Everything else by comparison is way down there. Okay, so what does it do? Well, let's start at the beginning. It without glutathione, there's no oxygen transfer. Why is that? Every every hemoglobin molecule, red blood cell, every red blood cell has iron in it. And for glutathione to attach to those, or not glutathione, for oxygen to attach and bind to that hemoglobin, the iron has to be at a level of a +2. Unfortunately, with different biological processes going on, metabolism, different oxidative stress encounters of the red blood cells, those iron molecules, their polarity goes up to a +3. At +3, they will not bind to oxygen. They have to be reduced to a +2, and when that happens, then it can bind to oxygen and deliver oxygen to every cell in the body. Glutathione is the sole reduction agent for hemoglobin, for the iron contained in hemoglobin. So right there, that's pretty important because we'd all be dead without it. What else does it do? Well, we found out in the pandemic how important our immune system is. The immune system is designed to protect us from bacterial and viral insults or assaults. I used the word assault one time and a scientist corrected me. No, they're not assaults, they're insults. Okay. They said, you got to learn scientific terminology if you're going to talk to scientists. So the immune system's designed to protect us from bacterial and viral insults. A virus or bacteria invades our body, our immune system goes, oh, we got to kill it quick. And it looks at different ways to kill it, and it produces T cells and B cells, primarily the T cells. Those are the two assassins, and mainly T cells, and they target the bacteria or virus with the intent of killing it. Now, the problem is the bacteria or virus is reproducing rapidly, and if you have low glutathione levels, your T cells or B cells, either one, will reproduce slowly. While the bacteria or virus is reproducing rapidly, guess who wins? The bacteria or virus. So you get sick, you stay sick longer, you may even die, as was the case in the pandemic. On the other hand, if you have higher glutathione levels, you're going to get a much faster accelerated reproduction of T cells, and that's what you really need to be healthy. So glutathione is the primary protector of the immune system. Pretty critical. We all encounter bacteria and viruses every day, every single day. What else? Well, glutathione is the detoxifier of the cell. Every person on this call, okay, I just want to see how many of you are. Every person on the call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body right now that we know about. Now, that's out of about 80,000 that are in the environment. If they tested for 500, they might just as well find that everyone on this call has 500, but they did test for 217 back in 2004, the CDC did, and they found all 217 in the 2,000 subjects that they tested, which were normal adults, different ethnicities, different body types, everything. It didn't matter. They all had these chemicals. Well, glutathione has a real sticky molecule, a sticky sulfhydryl molecule, and it attaches to the chemical like flypaper, and it takes it out of the cell. So it lowers the toxic load in the cell, the chemical load. Well, why is that important? Because it's the chemical load in the cell that breaks the mitochondrial DNA. When the mitochondrial DNA is broken, the cell is at risk, is vulnerable, at risk to mutate and multiply. We call it cancer. As long as that mitochondrial DNA is intact and maintains its integrity, the cell can't mutate. About 5% of cancers can cause a can develop without that happening, but 95%, according to Dr. Dean Jones at Emory University, he's a brilliant molecular biologist. He says 95% of all cancers gain traction in the human body because of the broken mitochondrial DNA. What breaks the DNA? Primarily the chemical load in the cell. And he said if we want to try to prevent cancer, We need to get more glutathione in the cells. And he said, let me explain. This was in a lecture to a cancer prevention symposium. And he said, if we can raise glutathione levels because of its detoxification abilities, it will lower the chemical load in the cell and thereby protect the mitochondrial DNA for a longer period of time. Very important. What else does it do? Well, it is called the master antioxidant. Now, let me explain antioxidants real quick. Every cell in your body, so Michael, we're going to bring that up in a second. Every cell in your body is attacked by 10 to 20,000 free radicals every day. Most of them are already in the cell. They're produced by the metabolism, the metabolic processes in the cell. Others come from the outside into the cell. But they're attacked 10 to 20,000 times a day. Each cell, you have 37 trillion cells. And what they want to do, they're scavengers. A free radical is a scavenger. It wants to steal an electron from the cell. And when that happens, two bad things happen. Number one, it produces inflammation in the cell. And that opens up the cell to all sorts of bad things, the inflammation. And it also accelerates the aging of the cell. Antioxidants, on the other hand, they make a donation. They donate one of their electrons to the free radical. And when that donation takes place, it sequesters, captures, neutralizes that free radical. Now, where your cell looks first, the first place it looks to is, do we have any glutathione available? Then it'll look to the other antibiotics, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, superoxide dismutase catalase, and so on. Now, here's the bad news. The bad news is that there's a whole spectrum of free radicals. And all antioxidants, including vitamin E, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase catalase, and the others, they're all monofocused. That means they can capture or neutralize one type, but none of the others. So vitamin E might take out that free radical, but it leaves all of these bad boys. Vitamin C might take out that one, leaves those, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase catalase, and so on. Glutathione is called the master antioxidant because it can sequester, capture, and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of their source, their structure, or their chemical composition. It's like the master key of a hotel. You know, a friend of mine right down the hill from here, because I'm at my house right now, owns a whole bunch of hotels, thousands of rooms, 5-star hotels. And you know, he gives me a key, and that key will open my room door and none others. But he can ask the desk, he can say, hey, can you cut me a master key? They'll give him a master key, and he can then open any room in the hotel, including the two most important rooms, the kitchen and the financial room, office. So, master antioxidant, boom. That's why it towers over all other antioxidants. It's Mount Everest, all others are the little tiny foothills before you get to the big mountains in the Himalayas. Okay, so we're going to show you a couple things. Let's show them what a cell looks like. No, go back one. Here we go. He's going to get it. I think you're going to get it. Here I'm looking at a clock over there that's stopped. I'm thinking, wow, I'm really doing good. And then I look at my watch. Uh-oh. Okay, that's what a cell looks like when it's magnified a whole bunch, but it still doesn't show molecules. It still doesn't show atoms. It doesn't show DNA. So there's levels of magnification that you could go beyond this, but this was, at the time, was really one of the highest. And all of those things you see in there work together. They're not stagnant. They're not just laying there collecting dust. They're interacting with all of the other substances and systems in the cell to make the cell function. Well, now imagine plopping a little piece of mud in there. Well, now what's going to happen? You're going to obstruct and negatively impact the functioning of those items inside the cell. Okay, now you can come back to me. Well, that's what inflammation is. Inflammation obstructs the free working synchronization and effective operation of the different activities and systems within the cell. Every cell in your body, 37 trillion of them, are more complex than the Saturn V rocket that launched our men to the moon. And if you were the Saturn V and its lunar lander and its lunar orbiter took 35,000 engineers, 8 years to design and build. And your cell is every cell is more complex than that. You know, you don't even think about that. Your body's amazing. In fact, the psalmist wrote, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. In other words, in the Hebrew, it said, I am made in a way that is so awesome, so amazing that it would create fear and reverence to anybody who sees what's really going on. How did he know? Because he knew his creator. He knew that his creator was that way, so he must be that way. Well, we are. The psalmist David was right. Okay, so now let's look at what 20,000 attackers looks like. That's 20,000 people at the Chicago Bulls arena where Michael Jordan used to play. And imagine if we said, okay, you're all going to be paid $1 million each if you can land one blow to one man who's on that court. Well, you'd empty the stands, you know, and some people say, hey, he didn't say how hard, I'll just hit him easy. Other person said, well, just in case I have to hit him hard, I'll hit him hard. But that's what happens to every cell. One cell is attacked by 10 to 20,000 free radicals a day. In 5 days, let's look at what 5 days would look like. Here it comes. That's 100,000 people. That's how many attackers attack each individual cell in your body over a 5-day period. Okay, glutathione is the key that lets our cells win more battles. The other antioxidants are good, but glutathione stands alone. It is the only one that can take out all bad guys. And there's some new bad guys, such as superoxide, such as what is it? Nitric. Let me think of what it is. Nitric, not nitrate. Okay. Something nitrate. My mind is a blank for the first.
Nitrate.
Huh? Peroxy?
Nitrate, yep.
Yeah. No, nitrite, not nitrate. Peroxynitrite is the most vicious free radical we know of. It's created when the microwaves from a cell antenna, 5G antenna, enter our body. If they react with the nitrogen in our body, they create this free radical called peroxynitrite. Thank you, Michael. And peroxynitrite lives 1 billion times longer than oxygen-based free radicals. It's nitrogen-based. And guess what it does? It attacks your DNA. No wonder our cancer rates are zooming upward. Right now, heart disease is the #1 killer in America. Number 2 is cancer. They say in the next 5 to 10 years, cancer will become #1 and heart disease will become #2. They're finding incredibly rapid growth in cancer rates in young people. They say young people are aging far more rapidly than their parents aged. Why is that? Glutathione. You know, they're the different things that are, you only have so many glutathione molecules that your body is making, that those cells are making. And if they're all focused on detoxification, there's going to be fewer that can focus on the fight against the free radicals and so on. Now, does it really affect us that much? Yeah, it slows down how fast you heal from a wound. It slows down how fast you recover from an illness or an injury. It slows down how fast you recover from exercise. Our athletes on our product recover far more rapidly. One of our athletes was a guy named Bill Gillespie, and Bill was he's strength and conditioning coach for a U.S. professional football team, and then went to his alma mater, Liberty University, for 14 years. But he was an amateur weightlifter the whole time, and he set world records. When he was 49 years old, he set the world record of, let's see, I'm waiting for Michael. Here we go. He set there, that's Bill. And in the middle there, there's over 1,000 pounds of weight, 1,050 pounds. But here, let's go to his chart. So at 49, he lifted 804 pounds. Michael, maybe you can tell us how many kilos that is. While I'm waiting for Michael. 804 pounds to kilos.
364 kilograms.
Okay, so 364 kilos, that's how much he lifted at the age of 49, 804 pounds. Well, from there, he started going down. That was a world record, by the way. And at 59, when I called him in 2018, I asked him how he's doing. He said, not good. I said, what's wrong? He says, well, number one, a lifetime of weightlifting has produced, my body's racked with inflammation. I wake up hurting. I hurt all day. I hurt when I go to sleep, so I don't sleep that well, and I hurt when I wake up. And my days, as you know, training the football team, I'm helping them throughout the day and throughout the night, usually 12, 16 hours. And he said, I said, how's your lift? He said, my lift is in the toilet. I can only lift 700 pounds. I said, Bill, and that's when he's 59. I said, Bill, that's a lot of weight for a 59-year-old. He said, it's a world record for a 59-year-old, but I don't get to compete with the elite guys anymore. And I said, well, I think we're going to change all that. I told him about our product this 2018, told him how to use it, and look what happened. Not bad. At 60, he went to 1,050 pounds, and at 62, 1,129 pounds, 40% more weight than he lifted at the age of 49, 13 years earlier. That's not supposed to happen. Well, when you reduce oxidative stress, you reduce the inflammation that retards your cut recovery. So you have a much faster cut recovery. He could only lift heavy once a week at the age of 59. At 49, he was lifting heavy 4 times a week. Well, guess what? At 59 and 60 and 61 and 62, he was heavy lifting 4 times a week again. And with inflammation that was produced by the oxidative stress was radically reduced, he was feeling better, younger, and he was sleeping longer. Okay, back to me, please. Now, it's not supposed to work that way. You're supposed, as you age, you lose lean muscle, your recovery slows down, your oxidative stress goes up. Why? Because your glutathione levels start declining at the age of 20. And as they go down, oxidative stress goes up. And that opens the gateway to all major diseases, 78 different diseases and disease classes: cancer, diabetes, heart disease, neurological diseases, kidney diseases, you name it, skin diseases. All of that happens because glutathione goes down, oxidative stress goes up. Well, so why don't we go buy glutathione capsules? They're at any health food store. Problem is, when they hit the stomach, glutathione is so fragile that as soon as it hits that stomach acid, it breaks and it will not be accepted into the cells. So what have they done? Some companies have wrapped those molecules in fats called liposomes, and that helps get some through the stomach. Some still are destroyed by the stomach, but it makes the particle size so much bigger that now you're trying to get a particle this big in a hole that big, and it will not work. And that's what happened at University of Utah. It would have saved me millions of dollars if liposomes would have worked. They made up some, because that's what they specialize. They made up liposomal glutathione, and it did not do anything. And we tested and tested, and we were so disappointed because it would have saved me a fortune. And so we found a way to, instead of using fats, wrap in water. Now, that won't protect you through the stomach, but our particle size gets so tiny that it'll absorb right into the bloodstream as you swish. Now, this horse study is amazing. 9,014 pages. You wouldn't want to read it. The abstract, which is the summary, is between 42 and 46 pages. And I'm going to get to look at that next week. And horses, like people, the liposomal stuff doesn't work. And as you'll find out, what we did for horses was beyond imagination, except when I told those to one of our medical scientists who has 19 sports medicine clinics throughout Europe. He said in his Spanish accent, "Steve, when are you going to listen to me? I've already told you I've seen the exact same things in humans." And but he used different terminology at the time. He did give us one fact, and that was that we delay the onset of lactic acidosis, the body's production of lactic acid, by 18.9%, 18.6%. No, I'm sorry, I'm mixed up. 16.9%. And I said, "Is that good?" He said, "Is it good? It's the biggest game changer I've ever seen." He said, "We have never been able to move the needle even 1%. You've moved it 69 or 16.9%. And he said, "It's incredible." Well, what does that mean? It not only means a better performance, but it means a much faster recovery because there's less damage to the cells. Anybody that's ever gotten sore after exercising, that's the lactic acid that makes you sore. It has destroyed a lot of cells. Well, if you delay the onset, guess what? Those cells don't get, not as many cells get destroyed. So a lot of our athletes said, I'm not sore anymore. I heard that right from the beginning. With one of our athletes, she is a marathoner and a cyclist, and she was in an accident. She was breaking all of her records. And her face hit the pavement at 22 miles an hour. And it really messed it up. I mean, it was road rash, abrasions, scabs. It was horrible. And she was swishing. She was hospitalized the day of the accident, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. She went home Tuesday night. Well, she got home Tuesday night and she thought, hey, this stuff is smaller particle. So she poured some on a cotton ball, put it on all the affected areas on her face, once on Tuesday night, then 3 times Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The plastic surgeon had said it would take 5 weeks to clear her face. And then she'd need to wait 60 days and they'd create a protocol for the scars. Well, in 5 days of topical application, her face, and Michael has seen the pictures. I'm not allowed to show them anymore because they're medical, but her face was completely clear in 5 days. Not a mark, not a scar, not a scab, not a rash, road rash, not an abrasion. It was amazing. And when I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, we have the world's best skincare product. I had owned 5 different cosmetic companies and skincare companies, and you can get great before and afters with makeup. And I owned a great makeup company. You can get great before and afters with hair care. I had hair care, and the musician Cher was our spokesperson for that. And we sold hundreds of millions of dollars of skincare. But skincare was really hard to get good before and afters. You'd have before and afters, and people would have to do this. I think I see a difference. And that's what will happen if you type in any cosmetic company you want. Here's what you do. Now, I love Estee Lauder, and I love L'Oreal. So type in L'Oreal skincare in your Google search, L'Oreal skincare before and afters, click, and then click on to images, not videos, not news, on images, and all these before and afters will come up. And here's what you'll be doing, just like I had to do. Oh, there's a red circle there and a red circle in the same place in the after. Yeah, I think I see a little difference. You don't have to strain to see the differences you're about to see, because they are unimaginable. Let's go to the pictures. Okay, let's zoom in on that. This is Sherry Warner. She was 58 at the time. And I sent this picture to my former formulator, who became the head formulator for the company that created Botox. And he instantly called me and said, Steve, she's had a facelift. I said, no, John, she hasn't. I've known her for many years. She lives on a farm, owns a farm, works a farm, and she has not had any plastic surgery. And he said, Steve, there's no topical on earth that could do it. Look how it's opened up her eyes. Look how it's tightened up her face. Look at how it's brightened her face, smoothed her face. You don't see any pores. Steve, there's nothing that Botox can't even do that. And I said, but we can. And that was the beginning of our skincare. And now we're going to show you some more, and then I'm going to show you something at the end. Okay, let's go to the next one. Those are my hands. I sprayed my right hand, but not my left hand. Now, I was a lot younger. I was 71 there. So I did that for 12 weeks. Look at the difference. I no longer had old man hands. Next. She's 84. We said, how many times a day did you spray? She said, I didn't keep count because I had bottles of the skincare all over my house. And anytime I passed one, I'd sprayed. 4 weeks. Are you kidding me? Look at her neck. Look at her chin. Look at above her lips. No, it's just crazy. Next. This is another 80-year-old. This were her legs. She said, I had old lady legs, sprayed them for 10 weeks, and now she has young lady legs. Pretty cool. Next. And this lady is a skincare specialist, an esthetician. She owns her own skincare salon in Florida. She said, Steve, I can't wait 8 weeks. Look at what happened. Where did my pores go? Look how much smoother, brighter, tighter. Look how it opened up my eyes. She said, this is my whole adult life has been skincare. There's nothing that can do what this is doing. I said, I know. Next. She was 60 years old when these pictures were taken. Before, after. Now watch what happens next. 6 months. Look at the difference. Next picture. Look at that. When we met her, which was after the 6 months, she honestly looked like she was 42 to 45. And I say that because I had a 45-year-old daughter, and she looked younger than she did. Anyway, next. He's 67. Write down these adjectives: tighter, brighter, smoother, younger. That's what we do. Next. Next. That's just, she had real water problems. Okay. This lady, 10 days, she's young. Yes, pores disappear. Her skin is much smoother, but look at her skin tone, how even and perfect it is. You can't do that with makeup. Next. 80 years old, 3 weeks. Next. Okay, she's in her 60s, but was a smoker, which is why her neck is so wrinkled and around her lips and so on. Look at the difference. That was 8 weeks. Next. Okay, 6 days. That's pretty unbelievable. Next. All these are taken. Now, this lady, her daughter, the doctor, gave her this product in Nigeria. And look at how much brighter her skin is, especially in the upper half. That means it's causing melanin to be better managed in the skin cells, and that's why the lighter and brighter. She couldn't believe the difference. Next. We're almost done. Okay, I love this guy. Okay, that's Australia, sun damage. Next. This guy's 94 years old. And he says, I love the new look, but he says, more than that, I feel like the guy on the right, not the guy on the left. And he said, that's what I like most. Okay, we're almost at the end. Here we go. This lady is in Hungary, where I was a few months ago. Ryan and I went to Hungary. She's 87 years old. Look at the difference. Now, there is nothing in the world that can do that. Not even Botox. I'm sorry. Okay, back to me. Now, not only does this show how amazing our skincare product is, imagine the same biochemical processes happening in your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your pancreas, and of course, your skin. It's the same mechanisms are at work. Glutathione goes up, oxidative stress goes down, accelerated aging, we believe, goes down. And it doesn't matter if it's the heart, the brain, or the skin. In fact, the skin is subjected to things that are even worse because it gets all the solar radiation, cosmic radiation, and glutathione has to accommodate and mitigate as much of that as possible. So put it all together, and what we have, the rest of the world doesn't have. Problem is, we can't get to people. You can get to people that we'll never get to. Don't minimize yourself. If you reach one person, we had one person in Omaha, Nebraska, in the United States, reach a Chinese friend in Canada. That person ultimately recruited over 5,000 distributors around the world, every continent, and they reached tens of thousands of customers, all because one woman reached one woman. You see, don't minimize. And plus, if it's your life that gets changed, or your husband's, or your daughters or grandchildren, what's the worth of one soul? What's the worth of one person? So don't minimize yourself. With that, we're done. Looks like we only lost one person in this entire long diatribe. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving. This is late enough in the evening. We'll let you know if I'm going to be available. We'll let you know in the next few days. Okay? Michael, back to you.
Beautiful, Steve. I was just going to say, if you're not, which is totally okay, we can run the event playing the recording of your 20-minute version, which would be fine, and I'm happy to do that. But ladies and gentlemen, with regard to Thanksgiving in America, we're open in 73 other countries. So the show goes on with all the other events. We will have members night. We will have our official presenters presenting on the Tuesday in the USA time as well. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and we'll see you on the next. Yes, go for it.
Hold on. I forgot to show one picture, and then this was Sherry in 2018 and 2024. She does not look older. She's been on the product ever since then. So that's the same. We started out with a before and after. This is her 6 years later, now 64 years old. And Michael, get close to the camera. Let's highlight you.
Just to say, we can call her Benjamin Button, but I'm not quite as good.
No, but look, how old are you?
56.
56, and he's got the skin of a 20-year-old. And he used to have big lines in his forehead. True or false?
True or false? No, very true. But then again, I might tell you guys, I literally bathe in this stuff, so it's good.
Okay, God bless you. And I'll go back to my wife's parents as we speak.
Awesome. Have a great